Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the November 2023 Comprehensive Astrology. In this video, I'll be giving you some intuitive messages I have about the month of November, and I will also be putting some charts on the screen and telling you about some of the transits that we will be having. And yes, November is a really major shift point for the collective consciousness. The events of October 2023 have already really rearranged the sort of paradigmatic forces at hand. So there's a major force shift here where we may have seen that before October and November 2023, we had certain ideals, we had certain preferences, we had certain preconceptions as well about where we thought we would be, what we thought we would do. And then both October and November of 2023, especially November actually, begin to really change this up based on the unforeseen elements that come in. So in this month, the main planets that I am feeling are Mars and Uranus, okay? We have an incredible Mars-Uranus opposition happening on November 11th, 11/11. We also have a Mars-Sun conjunction, which has not happened in a very long time. In the sign of Scorpio. Of course, this is Scorpio season and Sag season in November. So being that, in my opinion, Mars and Uranus are the most obvious and extreme with the transits, both of those planets deal with action and unexpected events. I do think there's going to be a lot of unexpected things happening at a larger level in the month of November, as well as like very fast and bold action happening. So this is not just passivity in the face of change. This is not just a month where it's going to be like, wow, all of this stuff is happening, and I'm kind of just like going to not face that or going to sit in passivity in response to all this change. We're really seeing many people hitting a breaking point actually here in November. I felt very strongly that November comes with it a very active and bold kind of expression of what we're willing to have and what we're not willing to have in our lives. So I'm seeing definitely some demanding energy coming up this month. I'm seeing also in November, just intuitively, I'm feeling that there is sort of an accounting happening here, or I was feeling as I was filming some of the November 2023 sign-by-sign readings, which are on Patreon. You can check that out below, or they will be very shortly. It was kind of like a major karmic giving period of time. So some people are going to be receiving karmic payments here. Some people are going to be kind of paying up as well. And it's very likely that throughout this kind of like transactional energy that we're facing in November, that there are going to be like receipts, okay? There are going to maybe be some type of like filing, some type of, change in the sort of legal attribute of certain situations as well. So for some people, we're seeing like new businesses go up. For other people, we're seeing like divorces. For some people, we're going to be seeing basically just some type of very official action in response to chaos. So people aren't just accepting chaos here, and that's a big shift point. I feel honestly for many, many years, people have kind of been like thinking or placing themselves in a certain passive way as it relates to chaos. And I've seen a very big change happen just here in 2023. This is very new to 2023, where people are really turning away from chaos and they're trying to really start protecting their own well-being, and they're trying to like really find their own sense of personal peace and power. So we'll start with the micro here and taking this down at a very like kind of like personal individual level. November is going to ask a lot of people to bring back peace in their lives. Okay. It's going to ask a lot of people to think deeply about any source of chaos in their lives and if they're willing to accept that or not. And it's going to kind of bring up some chain link, cause and effect dialogue where it's like, okay, if I don't accept this chaos, what track does that put me on? And am I scared also of wellness? Or am I also scared that if I make an action towards wellness, or if I make an action towards healing, peace, or calm, what if that generates some kind of backhanded chaos as well? So we have people like really working with fear here in November. Of course, this is Scorpio season. Scorpio rules all of these sort of psycho-emotional complexes like fear or worry, angst, what being afraid of something or what being nervous about something, how that causes us to change our action, how that causes us to sometimes just, as I like to say, glitch out in the fetal position or not take any action. I would pay very close attention to anything in your life that is like this as well, where things are so polarized or there's such a feeling of chaos that you're just kind of like being totally still, or there's like a paralyzing energy as well coming up in November because of the Jupiter-Uranus retrogrades in Taurus, okay? Paralyzing energy. Also, the Mars-Uranus opposition, though, on 11/11, on November 11th, is going to maybe bring some motion back to the situations, though. And I would definitely predict that, like, if you've had anything in your life that's kind of been gridlocked or paralyzed, I think that that's going to shift up around that point in time. But it's not, because it's in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio, it's going to be happening at a level that a lot of us don't want to go through. So there's like this question of comfort and familiarity, and like what we're willing to pay for comfort and familiarity, what chaos or difficulties we're willing to go through for comfort and familiarity. I'm seeing a lot of people really tied up or caught up in this exact question. The month of November 2023, specifically the Scorpio season side, it's a very powerful and swift energy that we're dealing with here. I feel that Scorpio this year is not about retaliations. It's not about vengefulness. It's not about meanness or potency or, that sort of like scorpionic venom. Okay. That is not what this is about. This is about that more high flying kind of like angelic Scorpio energy this year. And of course, I'm sure that we'll see all levels of Scorpio, from the lowest to the highest, but the collective energy is really, really rewarding those who can step into their peacemaker archetype, okay? And as we step into that place, that would be an interesting video to make, or to kind of like channel or dialogue on what it means to be in a space like that, or what that entails. Hit the thumbs up button below if you would like a video about stepping into the energy of peacemaker archetype. I can say that that's a lot of what November 2023 is about, you all. If you want like a nice life, if you want things to be kind of like, if you want things to be distant from this energy of war and conflict in your own personal sense, we're going to have to really get divine with our own sort of archetypal level of peacemaking. But that doesn't necessarily mean passivity at all. It doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean fear. Okay. It doesn't mean that, because a lot of people, when they think of peace, they think of ease or they think of tranquility. Now we have these distinguishing words for a reason, like ease, peace, and tranquility might seem synonymous, but they're not actually, because to achieve peace, oftentimes, I've been really reflecting on this a lot this year. Like, what is peace? What is tranquility? What is, what's the difference between those things? What also is, like, what does it take to achieve peace? Is peace the result of capacity? Okay, is peace the result of, sort of the, how would I say, the subordination of violence, or the wielding of that kind of like, at least perception of capacity? Because of course, a lot of times if we're thinking of like the earth plane and we're thinking of, the achievement of peace in certain earth terms, it often has to do with who has the most power or who has the most capacity can then dictate terms of peace, right? So we're reconciling this question of like, is peace a result of sort of like a monopoly on power, or is there a new way to achieve that? Is there a new sort of consciousness level that's actually opening the door to the achievement of peace in a way that's not reliant on violence? Okay, so that's what November of 2023 is about, you all, at every single level. So this is, of course, at a very macro earth plane level, but also in our own lives. We're going to really be put face to face during this time. I will tell you guys, November and December of 2023 are the most active months of this year. I've felt that honestly, like January to October, it already started to change in October, but January to October was actually kind of a hibernation grid for a lot of people. It was kind of an option or chance to just kind of turn off and regenerate. And that's still kind of here, and people can still be very deliberate with that regeneration process, but we're already stepping into a much more active, awake period of time in November. Okay, so wake up, everyone. We've got some important choices on the line here, and all of 2024 is going to evoke this feeling of importance. So while there's a very powerful and swift energy in November, there's kind of this like lilting, slow, and dark backdrop. Okay, we have all the outer planets in water and earth in yin, other than Chiron, which is an asteroid. So, and then of course we have a lot of the inner planets this month there too. So especially Scorpio season, before we get these inner planets going into Sag, this is a very dark time, you guys. Very, very dark. I'm going to go ahead and put the charts on the screen. We might get some more intuitive messages later, but just so you guys can kind of see, on the left we have November 1st, and on the right we have November 30th. Just grabbing this timestamp. Okay, as you can see, let's count it up. Okay, so we have Mercury, Mars, Sun, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus, Moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 planets, 9 bodies in water and earth. Okay. I'm sorry, 10. I'm missing Venus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 planets. Is that all of them? Yes, that's all of the planets, all of the bodies. The sun, the moon, all the way through Pluto is in water or earth, in yin, in dark, in Scorpio season, you guys. At least at the beginning here on November 1st. Let's talk about that a little bit. So this is a major imbalance to the dark feminine energy, but there's a reason behind it, and and it indicates also things not happening in an obvious way. It indicates symbolism. It indicates a bit of a puzzle, a riddle. It also means that whatever we're seeing at like a big macro level, we do not know what's going on there. Okay, that is not maybe exactly what we think it is. All right, like there's a definite question about anything that expresses or projects during this time, what that is. All right. So paying attention to this in your life as well, it's a very good opportunity for being a light worker or for being somebody with a little bit of like fire energy, because it's just going to feel kind of like hopeless for some people here as well. And it's going to also feel like I see some people having to like overcome nightmares in November, having to overcome like what they consider like a horror story in their own life. I'm not saying that's what this is, but it indicates, just with so much water and earth, growth as well. Okay, so there is that weeding away, that reduction that we've been doing could lead to a huge growth for some people here. Important plans, great time to plant seeds, especially at a motivational level. Okay. Very interesting harvest energy here as well with the water and earth. I mean, these are the positives of it. But anytime that we have any kind of like major majority. So we have like way more than half of anything on one side or another. This leads to imbalance. So this could mean that like the emotions could be at an extreme high here. It also could mean that people are acting very unconsciously. So when the feminine or the water and earth, the yin, is more activated in the planets, this usually means that people's motivations, actions are coming from a level that's not as conscious. So we have like the conscious mind versus the unconscious mind. So things are happening at an unconscious level here. Things are happening beneath the surface during this time. This is not a time really where people are able to operate in that kind of loud, flamboyant, or super masculine way. So for this reason, I would definitely predict that in November, it's going to be hard to see any resolution when it comes to getting certain people, certain places to achieving specific goals. Like, it's not about that. This is about things playing out. This is about things having a certain momentum set over such a long period of time. So here is maybe a little bit of a relief point for some of you. If you have things in your life that have like many years of momentum, or many different like things which have impacted it over time, and you're like kind of here in November freaking out a little bit, and you're like, I just want to change everything, or I just want to start over, or I just want to get out of this like momentum. Well, I don't think that you have to. I think that however, the shift at an beneath the surface level is important to look at. And I am seeing that if people need changes in their life, or if they have a responsibility to like protect their own peace in a better way, or anything like that, if they can't make the beneath the surface change here, things in like Sag season and over this next year are just going to be like really unbearable for some people, because then it's going to have to change in a more direct way. I also feel that because everything is in water and earth, it's Scorpio season. Also, it's year of the rabbit, which is kind of a complexity-oriented energy as well. I feel that this is a very complicated period of time. Yeah, it is. I feel that this is complex karma on the table. I feel that these stories are complex, and I feel that that makes it very character defining, like whatever actions are taken during this time. And I just want you guys to know that like whatever you're working with in your life, this is not maybe that simple. This is not something that is meant perhaps to be easy, and through it being like difficult or complex, it's going to test out our attributes. It's going to test out our capacity, and also the puzzle solving ability is very important here. The good puzzle solvers of the world, the high logic people, the people who are able to look at things in different layers, okay, that's going to be a great talent, but it doesn't necessarily mean that things are better for people like that, but it kind of just seems like things have to play out and work themselves out in certain cases. Also, I would be very careful here with like good or bad designations, okay? Certain attributes, certain choices, certain outcomes being labeled good or bad. Certain states of affairs as well, like like certain status, certain things being a certain way, being good or bad. This is very important, okay? This is great for November, Scorpio season especially. We don't need to succumb to good and bad designations here, especially at a very micro level. So if you have like things in your life, like relationships or material circumstances, like, is this a good or bad circumstance? I would operate more through peaceful or chaotic than I would good or bad. Perhaps that's an important way to look at it. And I would also try to understand, like, then if you're designating something either like peaceful or chaotic, still not that great. But because I feel that these designations may not be taking into account the entire chain link of circumstances. So we see, for example, okay, this career to me feels really chaotic. Maybe it is, but did it start there? Like, what choice or what area of your own life decision-making chain link of events caused this to come up? Try to look for that. Try to look for what the defect is in certain places. This is interesting. There's an obvious defect also here in November, and we can really see it. We can really see what isn't working right. So like, this is great for diagnosing chronic illnesses. November 2023, great. This is wonderful for Also finding areas of inefficiency, okay, like in workflows or in business or in any kind of events, because we can really use the logic puzzle solving to see like where the problem is, where the defect is, and we have to be ready in time maybe to act based on that rather than just kind of clumsily or haphazardly putting out a lot of energy towards things that may and may not really be focusing on what's even out of order. So that then makes somebody sort of a progenitor of chaos when they're just lashing out energy at things and they're not really focused or tuned to what the actual problem is, or they're not like taking actions that actually address the actual pain or the wound. So this is like where it's at this month, you guys, is understanding what the wound is. Also taking this down to a relationship level. For those of you who maybe are either like dating, or maybe you're in a relationship that you have questions about, in a marriage that you have questions about, this is what it's about here. This is about understanding like the way that I feel, or the actions that this other person is taking, what's causing that? Is this appropriate to this situation? Am I acting in a way that is actually focusing on this situation and the components of this situation, or am I acting in a way that's like kind of a mishmash of like all of my different experiences, and therefore being kind of like a chaotic person? The 0-degree Saturn in Pisces is interesting, and it's going to go direct this month, okay? That would be, I have it written down somewhere here. Yes, it's November 4th, actually, so very early in the month. Saturn moves direct in Pisces at that 0 degree. This is an interesting point to start fresh in some sense in your life. I'm seeing some people, this is a very interesting transit, actually. Saturn having gotten a little bit into Pisces, retrograding back, and then getting straight back to 0 degrees Pisces, and then moving direct at 0, and coming back in. So there's a chance to like redo something, and I am seeing some people have blank slates at this point. Not everybody, but some people will be facing a very powerful ending during that Saturn direct period of time, because it's Saturn, the planet somewhat tied to like endings, and also the final sign of Pisces, and that 0 degree point. Like some people are going to start from nothing there. So this is an interesting period of time. Like if there's something you've wanted to start from nothing, if you have like no context, or if you have like no connection, that could be an interesting time. But what's even better is actually embracing new mindsets, okay? Embracing new spiritual regimens. Saturn at 0 degrees Pisces. It's going to be less material, and it's going to be more about like, okay, for such a long time, I've had this lack-based mindset with relationships, or I've through like having trauma in relationships, I've had a like chip on the shoulder, okay? I've had maybe a fear to tell people how I feel. I've had even being someone that I'm not, to try to be what I think people want me to be, to try to like attract people. Anything along these lines, this sort of like Piscean illusion-based format would be really interesting to turn off here, and to just allow yourself to be who you are, and to also allow people to choose whether they want that or not. Basically, we don't want to be stuck in any types of like mindsets or expression grids that have us like being someone that we're not, in hopes that other people support us. Like we have to really, I think, start to rethink this sort of marketing regime that we have with our own personalities in this society. That's something that's going to be coming up this month, and Scorpio is really going to cut through that. And then, yes, again, that Mars opposition to Uranus and Taurus is going to, for some people, burn down some of the fake aspects of their lives, or some of the false implements. Because again, as I'm saying, we have all the planets in Earth and water, yet Mars is so active. Mars is a very fiery planet. So there is sort of a fire energy operating only through the transits of Mars. when it opposes Uranus on the 11th and then conjoins the sun on the 18th. So the 11th and the 18th, if there's anything that you need to like activate through like the fire element, those would be the days, but really only those days. But by November 24th, okay, so before I get into that, is there anything else I want to talk about with Scorpio season before we get a little bit into Sagittarius season? Okay, so finally with Scorpio season, it is absolutely about protecting your peace and about learning what that means, how that works, what that costs, and also more just like smart, potent ways to do that. So like finding better outlets for your peace, or finding also like a cheaper, more peaceful living circumstances for some people. Again, the Taurus axis is really strong here. So I'm seeing moving for some people. I'm seeing better living circumstances, and I'm seeing that being like the basis of a lot of this peace orientation. And yes, Scorpio season for some people ends relationships, begins relationships, and is a totally new starting point for some people. So it just kind of depends on the karmic outlook of your experience. But I am also seeing that some people get like very good gifts during this time as well, because of how dark and difficult it is. Also for some people who've like really mastered a certain like element of their experience, or who have like worked selflessly. Okay. That's kind of that word selfless. We have to be careful with that. But when I say selfless, like people who have worked selflessly, like people who have really helped others, or people who have really prioritized the well-being of many people, may really get a repayment here. Also, I'm seeing people who've been like single for a very long time, like getting like the gift of a person here, or getting the gift of an incredible romance for some people. It's a very romantic period of time, actually, at both a relationship and sort of like visionary level, both. Okay, so I'm seeing like, and this is kind of a chaotic neutral. It's not necessarily good or bad, because certainly like romance and romantic thinking, or even like romantic relationships, can be chaotic, right? Because there's like an element to them that you like, that's just really sometimes destabilizing. But within that is also like the power of like potentially an entirely different circumstance. So I would get into it in this month of November, and I would really ponder on like the romance of certain like ideas or people in your experience, because we don't really want to feel like we bypassed this. Okay, so yeah, that means chances taken for some people. That means going out on a limb. And for some people, the limb is not going to really be what they wanted it to be. But also, I think that we're proud of ourselves maybe for allowing ourselves to not be so withheld. Okay, that's something else that's coming up in November, you guys. Strategic withholding. Careful with this one. I'm feeling that people use like withholding, or they use lack or less as a kind of like way to expand, or it's kind of like a reverse psychology type of thing. It can work, but it can also just cause things to break as well. So it's like we're learning a lot about force, and learning a lot about forces of the universe. I mean, like we're learning about how like we act, and like what reactions that gets, and a lot of us are just having to get our sea legs with that here. And then there's going to be a lot of mistakes that some people make too, specifically with any type of like, I think that like I want to do this, or I feel like this is like what I want in my life, but I'm going to kind of push it away a little bit. Careful there. I'm feeling that this is like a very negative force at play in some people's experience, where they're like, I know what I want, but I'm just going to push that away a little bit more. What's going on there? Anyway, that's just something that some people needed to hear. Also, yeah, Scorpio season is just going to tear through that. It's going to be like, just accept what you like. Okay, please just like get on the path that you want. Like stop making yourself suffer. Stop making other people suffer. Like let's not contribute to like nightmare situations for some people at an extreme level, and then for other people, let's not just like bring that dark cast or dark tone to our life experience in a minor way as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the beginning of Sagittarius, or the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius. It's great, and it shifts. Some people have so much abundance suddenly hit. Like it's going to be like feeling very cold. And then the sun, Mars and Mercury are going to hit Sagittarius. We're going to go from that like triple conjunction that we've had of Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Scorpio to a triple conjunction of Sun, Mercury, and Mars in Sagittarius. So that's a big evolution. That's a big evolution happening in the mind, action, body level. That's an important part of November too. Mind, action, and body. That's Mercury, Mars, and Sun, right? It makes me think that people need to be more embodied. There's something about embodiment. There's something about what's happening in the mind versus what's real that has to really level up here and has to maybe be adjusted for some people. Some people are not embodying what they really feel, and we need to see, like, especially into 2024. We're getting so close, you guys. We got one more month to talk about before we're in 2024. But 2024 is not a year where we can really afford or even survive not embodying what we really feel. Okay, so this is starting in November with this triple Sun, Mercury, Mars situation. It's going to make it very obvious what we need to be. It's going to make it very obvious. Also, the contrast between what we actually have, where we actually are, what we actually do, and what we're dreaming of. Is there a mirage going on, okay, with all this Saturn, Neptune, and then all this Scorpio stuff? We get the incredible water trine, right, in the beginning of November with the moon in Cancer, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and the sun, Mercury, and Mars in Scorpio. And by the end of the month, it's much more balanced, though, and the Sagittarius energy helps to kind of like light up and illuminate the meaning of this dark tone energy. So that's something else I can tell you guys about November. We're not maybe going to understand until the end of the month exactly how to embody or exactly like the full picture. So it's an important time also coming out of the eclipse season of October, knowing that we have an accident indication right on the 11th with the Mars opposite Uranus. Anytime we have a Mars conjunct, opposite, or square Uranus, that can be a bit of a danger sign. Like you want to be careful and just not be kind of like taking on too much. Don't let it scare you at all, but that can sometimes be a time of like major unexpected unfolding. And we also on the 27th get a full moon in Gemini as well. So that's going to really help. We're going to get a bit of an air fire situation through Sag season, which is going to be so needed and be so welcome for people to light up and perceive more clearly how they need to move forward and what they need to do. Also, it's very nice to see Venus moving from Virgo to Libra, okay, through November. Let's see, what day is Venus moving into Libra? Okay, that would be the 8th of November. So good. That's a better time for relationships as well. We've had a very debilitated Venus energy, right? We had those like the Cazimi Venus in Leo with the retrogrades over the summer, and then we had the debilitated Venus in Virgo. So there's going to be some relationship, much more positive energy for relationships and new relationship unfolding, new romances for some people as well, that feel much more healthy and feel much more just doable. Like things can get to a point finally, like November 8th and forward, where it's a little bit more clear and it's less like, it's less chaotic, okay, on the relationship front by that point. Also, I'll let you guys know, we have Mars and Venus both placed in very, very good through November. So it's good for relationships, especially later in the month once Venus gets into Libra. Also having Mars at home in Scorpio, and then it also loves the sign of Sagittarius. So great, great, great for relationship connecting points at that time. Anyway, everyone, that's about it. That's what I've got on my heart for November. I'm going to put some of these notes that I have in the description box below if you want to see some of the dates that I have written down. Also, while you're in the description box, definitely check out this channel on Patreon. I have all of the November 2023 forecasts going up over there, probably about the first of the month. I also do weekly forecasts, which are only over there, so it's a great value. Come sign up, come check it out. We've got a really crazy end of 2023 and all of 2024 to get through, so like now's the time to really round out this content, and it's just really great over there, so definitely come check out a membership. And yes, other links will be below too, and have a wonderful, wonderful November, everyone. Happy Scorpio season. Talk to you soon. Bye.